So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our FRY10 online training session today. My name is Michael Zhang. Today, I'm here with my colleagues, Izzy Chowders, Mike Frank, John Opolak, to provide this training session. We are part of the Financial Statistics Department at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. To start it off, we'll give our standard Fed disclaimer. The views expressed today are our own and not necessarily those of the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia or the Federal Reserve System. In addition, we have another disclaimer that we need to read before our presentation today. The Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia may create video recordings, audio recordings, photographs, and/or digital images of all or selected portions of this event. By attending, you irrevocably grant the bank the right and your consent to create such media containing your name, voice, and/or likeness. You also irrevocably agree that the bank will have exclusive ownership of and the right and your consent to edit and/or copyright such media and to publish, distribute, and/or otherwise use the same in any medium for any lawful purpose without compensation to you. Today's training call covers an introduction to FRY10 Online, a brief demo of the tool, some common reporting areas for the FRY10 report, and a Q&A session for you to raise any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat as we go through this presentation, and we can address them after our presentation in the Q&A session. The goal of our training today is to get you familiarized with the FRY10 Online tool for more convenient report submission and reduce the occurrence of reporting errors to save your time for calls and emails back and forth with us. All right, let's jump right into the first section of our presentation today. FRY10 Online is a tool for electronic FRY10 submission. Speaking from our experience, if used appropriately, FRY10 Online is a very convenient tool and prevents the likelihood of FRY10 reporting errors. The building workflow of the tool can provide guidance as to which schedules is to use, especially helpful for complex transactions such as mergers and de novo formations. Another benefit of using FRY10 Online is that the tool has a record of your previous FRY10 submissions. On the slide, we have the initial login page for FRY10 Online. In addition to the login function, the page also has links at the bottom to some helpful resources, which we will go over one by one. Report instructions link directs you to the latest reporting forms and instructions. Under filter by, you can put in FRY10 as the keyword to search for the latest reporting forms and instructions for the FRY10 report. The submission deadlines link takes you to the page that shows the submission deadline for the FRY10 reports. Given the FRY10 is an ad hoc report not associated with any specific as-of date, the FRY10 reports are required to be received by the Federal Reserve within 30 calendar days of the occurrence of a reportable transaction or event. If the deadline falls on weekends or a holiday, the deadline is extended to the next business day. Access to FRY10 Online can only be given via the user account request form. One form must be submitted for each user. Users requesting changes cannot sign their own user account request form. This form is used to provision access for new users, change user information, reissue passwords, change access status, delete an existing user account, and change the reporting institution's report submission confirmation email address. There are 3 access levels: view-only reports, view and modify reports, and view, modify, and submit reports. A submission confirmation email address must be included, as email is the method for confirmation of updates and password modifications. An important thing to note here is that only user-submitted reports or all reports submitted must be checked for the first email address. If only user-submitted reports is checked, then the user will receive confirmation emails for only the reports that the user submits. If all reports submitted is checked, then the user will receive confirmation emails whenever anyone in the organization with an FRY10 Online user account submits a report. Any additional email address added will receive confirmation emails for all reports submitted. The reporting institution's name and address must be filled out completely and must be that of the FR-Y-10 reporter, which is usually the top-tier holding company. A reporting institution's authorized officer must sign the report. To reiterate, authorized signers may not sign their own user account request forms. They need to get a signature from another authorized officer of the institution. The FR-Y-10 user guide link brings up a PDF file which lists out access steps, system requirements, and basic site guidance. This is only an overview, and after you log into your own account, there will be a link labeled as help that provides more detailed guidance on different aspects of the tool in the report. Clicking on Contact Us will take you to the contact information page for your analyst, which is us. We hope you already have our contact information, but in case if you forget or have a new user, you can always find our information here. And please feel free to reach out if you encounter any issues or if you have any questions, we're always here to help. The NIC link will show the FFIEC tool to look for institutions and their RSSD IDs. From time to time, you will need to know and use the RSSD IDs associated with your entities. For example, when you file an RC1 form to get access to Reporting Central and Structure Central. If you don't have a record, this is a convenient tool for you to find the RSSD ID for institutions. This tool also provides access to public data from other reports collected by federal regulatory agencies. The Financial Reporting Central link takes you to Reporting Central, which is another tool to file the financial reports, such as the FR-Y-9 series report. So before logging to show you more details of FR-Y-10 online, we want to provide some highlights of the FR-Y-10 report. The FR-Y-10 report captures report changes to organization structure of bank holding companies, savings and loan holding companies, U.S. intermediate holding companies, member banks, edge and agreement corporations, and U.S. operations of foreign bank organizations. This means that if any fields on the FR-Y-10 report have changed, the event needs to be reported. For example, if your institution has a change in its LEI number, then this event is reportable. And again, the report needs to be submitted within 30 calendar days, and if the deadline falls on the weekends or a holiday, then the deadline is automatically extended to the next business day. The report can be submitted electronically through FR-Y-10 online. We also accept paper submission through email or hard copy submission through fax and traditional mail. As I mentioned, electronic submission generally can reduce the chance of reporting errors, save time for communications, and have a record of past submission, which are extremely helpful and beneficial. If you have already had access to this tool, you can log in with your own login ID and password. And if not, you can fill out and send us the user account request form to obtain access, as we have mentioned before. After logging in, you'll see a page that looks like this slide. The top banner includes links to some helpful resources. Some links are actually the same as the links on the page before logging in. For example, if you click on Report Instruction, it will take you to the Board of Governors official site of Report Instructions. The Submission Deadline link provides a reminder for submission deadline. The organization chart and company list provide similar functionalities to visualize the hierarchical structure of your organization. We'll go through the organization chart link, help link, and the links link in a second. Clicking on logout will prompt you to log out from this tool. Here's the screen after clicking on organization chart. You can view current and historical non-confidential charts of institution or any other institution within our database. The company name is defaulted to your institution's name. You can alter the as of date to see the current or historical organization chart at a point in time. October 28th, 2024, which is the display chart as of date on the screen right now, is the start date of this fake name Bancorp incorporation. If you choose an S update prior to the establishment of the organization, the tool will return nothing. By selecting the radio button next to the regulated companies or the US regulated companies, you can choose to see whichever you would like. You can also view domestic branches and or foreign branches as you select the checkboxes below. After making your preferred choices, you can download the organization chart as an Excel file by clicking on the Download to Excel button, or you can view the chart by clicking on View Chart button. If your selection is good, the functionality will return an organization chart, which includes RSSD IDs, legal name, city and state where the entity is located at, the state of incorporation, which Federal Reserve District this entity should report to, the entity type, NAICS activity code, and if applicable, the basis of relationship and percentage of relationship. At the bottom, the functionality will also provide an explanation to the acronyms of entity types and NAICS primary activity codes. In the legal name column, you probably have noticed that the name does not line up perfectly on the left side. This indentation indicates the hierarchical structure. So in this case, fake name Bancorp owns Bank of Fake Name and Fake Name Enterprises Incorporation. And the Bank of Fake Name owns the Fake Name Branch and the Fake Name Properties LLC. The help link will take you to the FR-Y-10 help. The initial screen explains how to use this help facility. Clicking on Getting Started provides a broad overview of how to begin using this site. FAQ provides some frequently asked questions regarding FR-Y-10 online along with their answers. If you have questions related to reportable events, navigate to the About Events link. Glossary link provides a list of definitions related to the FR-Y-10 reporting items. Clicking on Contact Us will again show you our contact information. The Getting Started page provides an overview of everything you need to know about this tool, including what action you can take based on your access level and how to navigate on the main screen. And please note that after working on your report, remember to save it as a draft or submit it, otherwise you might lose your report draft. And click on the FAQ link. Here's the list of frequently asked questions. And after you click on the specific questions, you will see an answer to that specific question. Using this site page has clickable bullets that provide more information on how to perform an action within this tool. For example, it shows you how to change a password and how to request a confidential treatment for the FR-Y-10. The About Events page contains a complete list of FR-Y-10 reportable events. It also provides guidance on how to create an event or events in FR-Y-10 Online. It explains that a report can be built from one or more events. The event selection page contains a list of all events available to report on and offers help on deciding which event to select for a given reporting situation, which we will show you in the demo later. These beneficial features of FR-Y-10 Online can assist you in the FR-Y-10 filing process and mitigate mistakes. The glossary page will show you a list of definitions related to the FR-Y-10 reporting items in an alphabetical order. The link labeled as links will show you the links to Federal Reserve Board of Governors, Federal Reserve National Information Center, Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council, U.S. Census Bureau for NAICS code, and U.S. Postal Service for looking up zip code. And returning to this main page, you'll be able to modify some of your user information when clicking on My Account. So once My Account is clicked, you'll be able to modify information, including your first name, the last name, your telephone information. But please keep in mind that your email cannot be updated on the screen, and you will need to file a user account request form to change your email address. And I believe the next section is the demo for FR-Y-10 Online, and I will hand it over to John.
Thank you, Michael. Now we'll talk about how to create a new FR-Y-10. To create a new FR-Y-10, click on Create a New Report. Do not use this option if you need to correct an FRY10 that was previously submitted via FRY10 online. The first screen you will see after clicking on create a new report is the report description screen. You can see that this screen looks similar to an email with a subject line, the description title, and a body comment. Here you can explain the reason for your FRY10. This information is very useful to your Federal Reserve analysts, so we kindly ask you to complete the screen before proceeding. Please be sure to complete both fields. For the examples we have provided, we will continue to pretend that we work for fake name bank or bank. Here, we are submitting FRY10 for a new bank branch opening. Once you enter the necessary information, click on Continue. The next screen you will see is the Page 1 or cover page screen. Here you should verify the name, physical address, and mailing address of your top-tier holding company. You should also add the name and contact information of the person who is best equipped to answer questions about the FRY10, if your Federal Reserve analyst has any. The contact person's mailing address is different than the holding company's, then add that as well. Finally, if the holding company has a legal identity identifier, or LEI, as we call it, add that too. In this example, our holding company does not have an LEI, so we leave that field blank. Below that, you are asked if you request confidentiality for any portion of the FRY10. This is extremely rare. But if you do request confidential treatment, then you cannot submit your FRY10 electronically. You will need to consult the section on confidentiality in the FRY10 report instructions. Provided you are not requesting confidential treatment, click on Continue. The next screen is the event selection screen. This is where you will tell the FRY10 online what type of event you need to report. Doing so will provide you with a customized form for the event, so it's important to choose the correct option. If you're not sure which event to select, consult the help section at the top of the screen or contact your Federal Reserve analysts. We are happy to help you. You can also choose an event type and click on More Info to get more info on what the event type is used for and example to see what the event will look like on the FRY10 report form. You can also pull up a blank schedule in the other category, but we highly advise against this as it can lead to errors that will need to be corrected. It's always best to choose the correct event type from one of the categories. However, for changes to savings and loan holding companies and their thrifts, you must select a blank savings and loan schedule. But thankfully, this only applies to those two company types. For all other entity types, such as branches and non-banking companies, you can still use the other categories. Since this example is a new branch opening, we will choose U.S. Depository Institution Domestic Branch Opening under Branch Activities section and click on Go. On the next screen, we see the custom form to report the branch opening. Be sure to add the opening date to item 1. The date of the event is always required for everything you report. In item 2, you can use the quick search field to start typing the name of your bank or thrift, which should pop up for you to click on. You can also click on the advanced search to find the depository institution, which you can see on the right-hand side of this slide. Then you'll fill in the branch information in item 3. Please note that the branch name is not and should not be the same as your bank's name. The list of counties in the state you are specified, click on Find County. Finally, we select the correct service type of the branch in item 4. For definitions of the various service types, click on the Help section at the top of the screen or consult the FRY10 report instructions, which you can also find at the top of the screen. Before we click on Continue, we should check our event for errors by clicking on the Check Event for Errors button. If we made any errors, they'll be listed at the top of the screen. Otherwise, you will see the message, no data discrepancies were found in the preliminary examination of this event. We can also click on the View Schedules to see what the event will look like on the FRY10 form, which you can see on the right-hand side of this slide. We can also cancel this entire report from the screen. Otherwise, we'll click on Continue. After clicking on Continue, we are taken to the report summary screen. Here we can review everything we've entered so far, including report descriptions and comments, the cover page, and the branch event. This is where we can submit the report. However, before submitting the report, we find out that we also need to report a name change for one of the non-banking companies in our organization. Rather than create a whole new report for that, we can simply click on Add New Event at the bottom right corner to report the name change. Note that you can submit any number of events in one report, even if the events are unrelated or occurred on different dates. This is a big time saver. Clicking on Add New Event will take us back to the event selection screen. Since we're reporting a change of a non-banking company, we previously reported on the FRY10, we will choose changes to a reportable or newly reportable non-banking company, which is in the changes to reportable or newly reportable companies category, and click on Go. Clicking on Go will take us to the applicable form. As always, we'll add the effective date of the legal name change in item 1. Item 2 asks, does the change being reported cause this company to be newly reportable? Since we already reported this company on the FRY10 when it was formed or acquired, we'll click on No. In item 3, we can click on the Find button to find the company whose name changed. This will pop up another screen where we can search for it, which you can see on the right side of this slide. We can either type the company name or leave it blank to show us a list of all companies in our organization. Please note that you'd always search using the date of the change so we have the change, the date to 11/5/24, which was the effective date of the name change. In the yellow box, the FRY10 online asks us if we want to populate the current information fields, item 3, the prior information fields, item 4, or both. It's useful to choose prior or both for relocations, but for only a name change, we only want to populate the current information fields. Then we will click on the blue hyperlink to automatically fill in item 3. Item 3 will be populated with the company's name and address as it's in our database as of the date we specified. At this point, we will manually type in the old name on top of item 4 and the new name on the top of item 3. The form shows all items that should change, but since the only change that happened on 11/5 was the name, we will leave all other items blank. Then we will click on the check event for errors. No errors are found, so we click on Continue. Doing so will take us back to the report summary screen, where we will now see the events we've created, the new branch opening, the non-banking company name change. We're not quite ready to submit the report yet, so we decided to save it as a draft. We choose Save this Draft from the drop-down menu in the top middle of the screen and click on Go. It is very important to note that the FRY10 online will time out after a few minutes of inactivity. This can happen a lot quicker than you would think. If for any reason you can't or don't want to submit your report yet, save it as a draft so all of your work won't be lost. Clicking on Go will take us to a screen confirming that our draft has been saved. The Y-10 online will assign a report number to the entire report and event numbers to each event. At this point, we can go back to the home page, view or print the PDF of the draft, or go back to the report summary screen. At this point, you can feel comfortable stepping away, although we recommend logging out if you're deciding not to continue using the FRY10 online for the time being. And now I will turn it over to Mike to go over view, modify, and submitting drafts.
Thanks, John. So when we're ready to return to our draft report, we will click on the Report Saved as Draft from the main screen. The screen that follows will show us all of the drafts we created but have not yet submitted. If you have several draft reports, you can use the search options at the top of the screen to help you find what you're looking for. Once we find the draft we want to continue creating, we will click the radio button to the right of the draft and then click on Open Draft. Doing so will take us back to the report summary screen for the draft report. From here, we can view or edit the report description, the cover page, or either event. We can also view a PDF of the draft report, check it for errors, delete it, or submit it. We can also add more events. And as it turns out, we also need to report a merger that occurred recently, so we will click on Add New Event. Remember, your FRY10 can contain any number of events, and the events do not need to be related, nor do they need to have occurred on the same date. This will take us back to the event summary screen. In the mergers category, there are two options: mergers between depository institutions and mergers between all other company types, including bank holding companies, savings and loan holding companies, foreign banking organizations, and non-banking companies. In this example, our organization recently acquired another bank, and upon acquisition, it immediately merged into our existing bank. Note that when this occurs, it is not necessary to report the acquisition of the bank. You only need to report the merger. However, if the merger occurs 1 or more days after the acquisition, then the acquisition must be reported too. Once we choose the correct event type, we click on Go. This will take us to the custom form for bank mergers. At the top of the screen, which you can see on the left side of this slide, we will enter the merger date in item 1, the surviving bank's information in item 2, and the non-surviving bank's information in item 3. Note that for the event, we must use the open of business date. This means that if the merger took place anytime after the start of the business day, we must use the next calendar day as the merger date, even if it is a weekend or holiday. Mergers can legally occur on any day. To find the bank names, just start typing the legal name and the FRY10 online should find it for you. If it doesn't, be sure you are putting the correct name in the survivor field and the correct name in the non-survivor field. You can also click on Advanced Search to find the bank. When using Advanced Search, use the date before the merger for the best results. And if you are looking for an entity that was not part of your organization prior to the merger, be sure to search within the entire FRY10 database. At the bottom of the form, item 4 asks if the non-surviving bank's head office became a branch of the surviving bank as a result of the merger. In our example, it did, so we click the radio button next to yes. Item 5 asks if any of the non-surviving bank's branches transferred to the surviving bank as a result of the merger. In our example, they did, so we click the radio button next to yes. Note that if the non-surviving bank did not have any branches, in other words, the non-surviving bank only had a head office and no other locations, you should click Not Applicable. Since we clicked yes, and Identify the Domestic Branch section will appear. The easiest way to add the branches that transfer to the surviving bank to our report is to click on Retrieve Branches. This will pop up a window showing the branches where we can add all of them or only some of them if they did not all transfer. Since we also indicated that the head office of the non-surviving bank became a branch, we also need to click on Add Branch to add that to our report. Once we add all the necessary branches, they will appear at the bottom of the screen. A message also appears which reminds us to add events for all the non-survivors' former subsidiaries that were acquired as a result of the merger. It also reminds us that if the survivor changed its name or relocated in conjunction with the merger, we must also report that under the Changes to Reportable Companies category. Before continuing, we click on Check Event for Errors. Provided there are no errors, we then click on Save Changes or Continue. In our example, it turns out that the non-surviving bank did have a subsidiary that was acquired by our surviving bank as a result of the merger. So we click on Add New Event to report that. To report the acquisition of the non-banking company, we will choose Acquisition of a non-banking company under the Acquisitions category and click on Go. We can use the Find button to populate the name and address of the non-banking company that was acquired. Remember to use the date before the merger and search the entire FRY10 database for the best results. If the name or address changed upon acquisition, we should add the new information to item 2 and the old information to item 3. Otherwise, we should leave item 3 blank. Whenever we report an acquisition or formation of a new company, all items must be completed. For item 13, since the acquired non-banking company is an LLC, we must choose yes for other interest and specify whether the direct holder of the LLC is the managing member or non-managing member. This applies to all LLCs as well as partnerships. See the FRY10 report instructions for more information. Before continuing, we click on Check Event for Errors and then Continue. Along with the bank merger, our holding company also acquired and merged with the holding company of the non-surviving bank, so we need to report that next. So we click on the Add New Event button to proceed, and then choose Merger involving an FBO, BHC, SLHC, or non-banking company from the Mergers category. As you can see, As you can see, the custom form for a non-depository institution merger does not have any questions for branches, since branches only apply to DIs. We enter the merger date find the applicable companies using the Find button, click on Check Event for Errors, and then click on Continue. We have no more events to report, so we are now ready to review our report. There are a few ways to do this. First, we start by choosing Check Draft for Errors at the top of the screen and click Go. We can also click on each hyperlink to ensure we entered everything we needed to. At a minimum, we need to update the report description screen because previously we only mentioned the new branch opening. You can also view a PDF of the draft report by choosing View/Print Draft at the top of the report summary screen and clicking Go. Once we are sure we added all the necessary events and did not make any errors, we choose Submit Completed Draft as Report at the top of the report summary screen and click Go. Submitting the report will cause FR-Y-10 Online to perform one more error check. An edit denoted with an E inside of a red octagon signifies a validity edit that must be resolved before you can submit the report. We don't have any of those for this report. An edit denoted by an exclamation point inside of a yellow triangle signifies a quality edit, which is more of an alert or warning to make sure we entered everything we should have. In this case, FR-Y-10 Online is warning us that we did not enter an LEI for our holding company on the cover page. But if you recall, our holding company in this example does not have an LEI, so we can safely move forward and submit the report by clicking on the Submit Report button. Once we successfully submit our report, we will see The Report Has Been Submitted screen, similar to the screen we saw when we saved our draft report earlier, which includes the report number as well as numbers for each event in the report. At this point, we can view or print the completed report for our records or simply return to the FR-Y-10 home screen. Even if you do not view or print the report from this screen, it will be safely stored in the previously submitted report section of FR-Y-10 Online. And now I'll turn it over to Izzy.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm going to be discussing how to view and correct previously submitted FR-Y-10s. As we said before, all submitted reports are stored and accessible in FR-Y-10 Online. To view them, we simply have to click the Previously Submitted Reports button on the main screen. Here, we can see all of the previously submitted events. The upper pane offers fields that we can use to filter and make it easier to find the specific events that we're looking for. Then we can use the checkboxes on the right-hand side of the lower pane to select the relevant events. With the row selected, we use the blue buttons in the middle to choose to either correct the events, duplicate the events to make extra copies, or just cancel the action altogether. Let's say that we need to correct 3 events that we just created and submitted. Please note, we only need to select the events that need to be corrected, and we do not have to resubmit the entire report. Once we have clicked the Correct button, we are brought to a report description screen. We include a descriptive title and a helpful comment to identify what we're correcting. In this case, we want to correct the merger date from 11/1/24 to 11/2/24. We'll hit Save Changes and then click Continue again on the next page to get to the report summary screen. From the report summary, we can click the event that we're looking to correct. That brings us back to the report form that we originally submitted for that event and allows us to make any necessary changes. After we save those changes, we'll be sent back to this page where we can click the drop-down button above to submit the report. We can hit Go, and this confirmation screen will appear with reference information. This means we've successfully made our corrections and we're all done. Before we end, we'd like to discuss some common misreporting that we've noticed. Please keep these reporting errors in mind when filling out your FR-Y-10 report. Ensure that you are only reporting institutions that qualify as reportable under the FR-Y-10 instructions. Additionally, please be sure to submit merger and de novo formations alongside their other applicable schedules for acquisitions of branches and non-bank subsidiaries. Thank you all for your time. If you have a specific question that only pertains to your institution and would like to speak privately, please feel free to contact one of the individuals on your screen after the presentation.